Nvidia boss Jensen Huang kicks off Computex Taipei with a big announcement.
And so I'm going to build them a brand new Nvidia Taiwan office, and it's called Nvidia Constellation.
Concerns for national security after a Chinese man appears to cross the Taiwan Strait in a rubber dinghy. The opposition steps up calls for President Lai Ching-te to resign. Plus,
at this detention center in the capital Taipei, political prisoners were once brought in, detained and sentenced in secret military courts. It's been more than 70 years since the government here declared martial law, but Taiwan is still reckoning with its authoritarian past.
A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Joyce Zhen. The Coast Guard is asking for more funding for technology to better detect national security threats. That's after a Chinese man reportedly sailed to Taiwan and back in a rubber boat. Rhys Ayers has more.
Difficult but not impossible is how Taiwan's Coast Guard is describing a journey that a Chinese man appears to have made across the Taiwan Strait in a rubber dinghy. Posting on Chinese social media platform Douyin, the man claims to have traveled from the coast of Fuzhou in China's Fujian province to Guanyin Beach in Taoyuan on Taiwan's northwest coast on May 15th. A distance of 175 kilometers, he said he did in just 9 hours. And he appears to have gone back, as he wasn't apprehended here in Taiwan. In the videos he posted online, he boasts about the journey he made, showing a Chinese flag planted in the sand behind him. Another video shows a shrine in his boat with a note saying that he's doing this to reclaim Taiwan for China. The videos have been verified and do appear to show the time and place that he's claiming. But given how difficult the journey likely was, the Coast Guard is not ruling out the possibility that a larger ship dropped him off somewhere in the middle of the strait, out of the range of detection equipment, and he did the rest in his dinghy, managing to avoid detection due to the small size of his boat. Now, just a day after the man claims to have made this trip, 2 other Chinese people were arrested for making a similar crossing to a similar location, bringing the total number of such cases this year to 5, involving 38 people, of which 36 were apprehended. Now, they have different motivations for making these trips. Some claim they're doing it for China. Others claim they're escaping political prosecution in China. Now, a few individuals in tiny boats don't pose too much of a risk to Taiwan's national security, but it is prompting the Coast Guard to highlight China's grey zone warfare tactics. This could be an example of that, if indeed a larger boat did drop him off in the middle of the strait. The Coast Guard is calling for more funding, hoping to improve detection methods for smaller boats by using infrared technology and drones. Taiwan has over 1,800 kilometers of coastline. It's difficult to patrol, and defending the beaches around Taiwan could be key to fending off a Chinese attack. And with this week being the 1-year anniversary of President Lai Ching-te's inauguration, a man that Beijing has repeatedly described as a dangerous separatist, Taiwan's Coast Guard are on high alert for more such crossings. Patrick Chen, Kamashu and Rhys Ayers for TaiwanPlus.
On the eve of Taiwan President Lai Ching-te's 1-year anniversary of being in office, opposition Kuomintang members are taking to the street to express their dissatisfaction with Lai's leadership, asking him to step down. Cadence Caranta has been following the story and joins us with more from our Taipei newsroom. Cadence, what's going on?
So the KMT has organized a motorcade procession in Taipei today, driving all the way to the ruling Democratic Progressive Party's headquarters in Taipei, basically in protest of President Lai Ching-te's governance. They want to convey their anger and dissatisfaction with his leadership so far. Let's take a look at what happened earlier on the streets today.
我们一起喊我们今天唯一的口号。 罢免赖清德，我们要赖清德下台，大家说好不好？好。赖清德下台，赖清德下台。
KMT officials have been calling for the ousting of Lai for some time now. At a rally last month, they said that they would put forth a motion in the legislature to recall Lai sometime after tomorrow, May 20th, which is the one-year anniversary of Lai taking office. The reason why they have to wait until tomorrow is because by law, a president cannot be recalled until they've been in office for at least a year. But it's worth noting that in order for a recall proposal to pass, the KMT would need the backing of at least 2/3 of lawmakers, numbers that they currently don't have, even with the support of the smaller opposition Taiwan People's Party.
And Cadence, why is this happening now?
So this is all happening in an increasingly polarized and divisive political environment within Taiwan. For the last few months, civic groups with the growing involvement of political parties have been scrambling to oust dozens of lawmakers from both the ruling Democratic Progressive Party and the opposition Kuomintang Party. And while all this has been happening, several KMT members have been detained or indicted for allegedly committing fraud in the recall process, including forging recall signatures on recall petitions. And this is one of the reasons that why the KMT has actually been accusing President Lai of using Taiwan's judiciary as a political tool to oust opposition parties. So for now, we don't know if the KMT will actually follow through on their threats to recall President Lai. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But we can see right now that the political environment is polarized and divisive at this moment.
Thanks, Cadence. That was Cadence Quaranta reporting from our Taipei newsroom. Taiwan is marking White Terror Memorial Day, remembering victims of decades of government oppression. But as Rick Lowett reports, there is debate over how Taiwan should remember its authoritarian past.
Marking one of the darkest chapters in Taiwan's history. 76 years to the date since martial law began, survivors of the political crackdown that followed are joined by government officials to commemorate the decades-long era known as the White Terror. Under the oppressive regime, thousands were killed and more than 100,000 imprisoned until martial rule was lifted 43 years later.
我们一再讲白色恐怖，我们不是要挑起仇恨，也不是要挑起对立。你们为什么不能面对，跟我们所有台湾人一起面对当年43年的戒严的白色恐怖，这么多人的死亡？你们为什么不能够跟我们一起面对，让这件事情成为我们彼此之间的一个和平的开始？
Since democratization in the 1980s, Taiwan has been trying to right the wrongs of its authoritarian past. The government has exonerated political prisoners, redistributed ill-gotten gains and given compensation. Sites like this detention centre, where those who opposed the nationalist government were detained, mistreated and sentenced in secret military courts, are now open to the public, serving as reminders to the brutality of authoritarian rule. And just 1 year ago, Taiwan's government established White Terror Memorial Day after a campaign by the victims and their families. But the future of this Memorial Day is uncertain. Taiwan's legislature, where opposition parties have the majority, left it off a new bill for important national days. And now, rights groups accuse the main opposition party, the Kuomintang or KMT, which is descended from that nationalist government, of blacking out history.
I think they are afraid that people will eventually realize that this party has never admitted to its past and its mistakes, and they did not even take the responsibilities of, to undo what they have done and to compensate or even to apologize as a whole party.
Taiwan's main political parties agree on very little, and this is just the latest in a string of issues to stoke partisan tensions. But it also reveals a split in society on how Taiwan should confront its violent past.
I think the Taiwanese society is kind of coming to terms with that. Okay, we have this past that at least a good number of people want to address, right? But then there's also a part of the population that kind of asks, well, I don't remember that period being that terrible. Or maybe it was terrible, but can we just move on and kind of forget about the whole thing?
Though places like this detention centre remain, Taiwan's era of politically motivated disappearances and executions can seem like a distant past for many here. The country is now known as a bastion of democracy and one of the most liberal places in Asia, which is exactly the point for those who support keeping a day dedicated to the victims of white terror. Today's freedom came at a steep price, and it should not be forgotten. Joseph Wu and Rick Lowett for TaiwanPlus.
Ahead of the 78th World Health Assembly, Taiwan and its international allies are speaking up for its participation at the annual health forum.
But I just want to say, who is the World Health Organization? They are the who that doesn't allow Taiwan to become a member.
This marks the 9th year Taiwan has been excluded from the WHO, the decision-making body of the World Health Organization. Civic groups from Taiwan rallied for its participation, drawing supporters from more than 25 countries. Meanwhile, Taiwanese officials have also been speaking in Geneva, reaffirming their commitment to global medical aid and their efforts to join the WHO.
台湾长期以来拥有的是高品质的医疗品质，以及人民对世界其他国家人民的热爱。那世界的健康也是一体的。怎么样的一个变化，我们都非常的理解。 把我们的最好的医疗跟防疫的经验跟专业，持续的跟世界各国来分享。
The WHA is set to begin on Monday and will run through May 27th. U.S. chip giant Nvidia has just announced the location of its long-awaited new office in Taiwan. CEO Jensen Huang made the reveal during Computex Taipei, one of the world's largest tech shows, alongside major AI project announcements. As Chris Gorin reports, Nvidia is relying on Taiwanese producers as it aims to dominate the world's AI infrastructure.
An animated mock-up of Nvidia's new Taiwan office comes from outer space and touches down in the Shilin Beitou area of Taipei, revealing a future home of the world's most valuable chip designer. The moment came during CEO Jensen Huang's keynote speech, which opened this year's Computex Tech Show and ended months of speculation about where Nvidia would build its long-awaited Taiwan base. Huang also revealed the office's name.
The number of engineers we have here in Taiwan have been growing. And so we are growing beyond the limits of our current office. And so I'm going to build them a brand new NVIDIA Taiwan office, and it's called NVIDIA Constellation.
Huang also announced a partnership with the government here in Taiwan and local companies TSMC and Foxconn to build out the country's AI infrastructure. That includes building a supercomputer in the southern city of Kaohsiung, powered by 10,000 of NVIDIA's latest AI chips. And some analysts say the scale of these investments show just how central Taiwan has become to NVIDIA's global strategy.
Yeah, of course, that's really exciting because currently we see NVIDIA make lots of investment worldwide, and apparently Taiwan is the most important one for him to build a new site, especially in Taipei. And also he highlight the AI infra, a new partner with TSMC and Foxconn. It's actually demonstrate how aggressive NVIDIA want to invest in Taiwan. So that's a very good news for us.
The moves might come as no surprise for a company that relies heavily on Taiwanese firms to produce its chips and, importantly, its AI servers. A firm that used to specialize in computer gaming has turned its focus to AI infrastructure, which Huang says is now at the core of its mission.
We realized that NVIDIA is not a technology company only anymore. In fact, we are an essential infrastructure company.
Huang has been traveling the world, making large new deals on AI infrastructure, most recently with Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, partnering on what could be one of the world's biggest AI campuses there. Many of the products announced in Taipei were less focused on everyday consumers and more on customers at the enterprise or data center level, which Huang calls AI factories. But his keynote hints at where the biggest AI factory of all is likely to be. Taiwan may not be the only country where NVIDIA is expanding, but with a new Taipei office and large infrastructure projects, it appears to be anchoring its AI ambitions to it. Klein Huang, Chris Ma, and Chris Gorin in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
As artificial intelligence advances at breakneck speed, tech giants are pouring billions into smarter, more autonomous machines. But as the industry races ahead, ethical concerns are being raised about how far and how fast we should go. Chelsea Wu reports.
One of the largest tech trade shows in the world, Computex Taipei, is underway. And this year, AI is still the hot topic. Tech companies are gearing up to showcase their latest AI innovations. As competition heats up to build smarter, more autonomous systems, cutting-edge developments like open-source self-learning robots could potentially become part of our daily lives.
And so we're now in this age called reasoning AI, and reasoning AIs allow you to produce a form of digital robots. We call them agentic AI, agents. It has agency. And so AI that can understand the task that's been given, it can go off and learn and read, use tools like calculators and web browsers and spreadsheets.
Despite a background of shifting tariffs and regulatory uncertainty, one thing is clear: investment in AI continues to surge. Tech giants like Microsoft, Nvidia, Meta, and Amazon are pouring resources into developing humanoid and agentic AI. Goldman Sachs has projected that the global humanoid robot market could reach $38 billion by 2035. Within 5 years, 250,000 humanoid robots, primarily for industrial use, will be shipped, with consumer sales expected to reach 1 million units annually within a decade. While AI investment surges and technology rapidly evolves, integrating AI into our daily lives raises some tough questions. While AI systems offer convenience, concerns remain about their impact on society.
We're going to be living in a world in which AI occupies a more and more central role, and we interact more and more with AI systems. And one possible worry about this development is that there will be fewer human interactions. A number of human interactions will disappear and be replaced with those AI-mediated interactions, and that could be something we might view as undesirable.
As AI agents grow more advanced, the question is not what they can do, but rather what they should do. With models becoming smarter and more capable than ever, how should society prepare itself for what lies ahead? Andy Xue and Chelsea Wu for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's state-run power company says it's ramping up energy production following the shutdown of the country's last nuclear reactor on Saturday.
我们有4部大型的机组会上来，它总共的量有480万千瓦，核三厂一部机除以才只有95万千瓦，所以整个供电这个情况其实是无虞的啦。
The comments come amid growing concern over how Taiwan will meet rising energy demands and net zero targets without nuclear power. Environmental groups are also raising concerns that an end to nuclear power will lead to more severe air pollution. After the nuclear reactor shut down, Taiwan is expected to get nearly 85% of its electricity from fossil fuels. Coming up after the break.
当然，我们也很盼望教宗有一天能够来拜访台湾。
Taiwan has big hopes for its ties with the Vatican under the new Pope. Stay tuned.
Thank you for sharing our passion for food and Taiwan. Veggie Island explores the vibrant world of plant-based cuisine.
Wow. This is amazing.
While Taiwan on the Rocks uncovers the stories and craftsmanship behind every sip.
Have you ever tried Taiwanese beer?
Are you ready to taste even more of Taiwan?
In the face of adversity, the power of truth.
A roadmap for a just and open world, charted by the freest country in Asia.
Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
TaiwanPlus News, a voice of freedom in Asia.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. President Lai Ching-te is hoping the inauguration of Pope Leo XIV won't just be a new chapter for the Roman Catholic Church, but also a starting point for closer Taiwan-Vatican ties. As John Van Trieste reports, Taiwan's envoy at the Pope's inauguration has passed on the president's hopes and an invitation.
Pope Leo XIV waves to the 250,000 Catholics, dignitaries, and other visitors gathered in St. Peter's Square for his inauguration. The crowd is gathered from all corners of the world. They include well-wishers from the U.S., excited to see the first ever pope from their country.
Very, very excited. He's the first American pope. Yes, we're very proud of that.
And closer to home, Italian Catholics.
I like his personality and hope he can continue on the path paved by Pope Francis.
Security is tight as dignitaries and heads of state gather for an inaugural mass. Representing Taiwan is former Vice President Chen Chien-jen, a leading member of Taiwan's small Catholic community. The Vatican is one of 12 states that have formal diplomatic ties with Taiwan, and the only one in Europe. So even at a time when Taiwan is shut out from many big global events due to Chinese objections, it's still able to have a presence at those connected to the papacy. At this papal inauguration, he's had a chance to rub shoulders with other dignitaries, like U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. But Chen has also arrived with a message and an invitation for the new pope.
总统很关心台湾之间能不能够更上层楼，然后彼此之间呢有更多的互信，然后彼此的邦谊能够更加的促进。当然，我们也很盼望教宗有一天能够来拜访台湾。
Taiwan is home to just a few 100,000 of the world's more than 1 billion Catholics. But its president hopes the arrival of the new pope will help strengthen one of the country's oldest diplomatic alliances. Eason Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Pope Leo has begun his papacy with a call for world peace, using his inaugural mass to urge an end to several ongoing conflicts. It comes as efforts to end the war in Ukraine gain momentum. Bryn Thomas reports.
World leaders had a front seat in St. Peter's Square as Pope Leo used his inaugural mass to advocate for unity in the church and around the world. The new pontiff mentioning global conflicts in his homily, including those in Gaza, Myanmar, and Ukraine.
Nel Myanmar, nuove ostilità hanno spezzato giovani vite innocenti. La martoriata Ucraina attende finalmente negoziati per una pace giusta e duratura.
Pope Leo met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky after his inaugural mass, his first known conversation with a foreign leader as pontiff. It comes after the pontiff offered to host peace talks between Russia and Ukraine at the Vatican, days after negotiations in Turkey collapsed. Zelensky thanked the Vatican for its support on social media, saying Ukraine is ready for dialogue in any format for the sake of tangible results. As Russia continues to attack Ukraine, launching the largest drone barrage in history against the country, it's a message the Ukrainian president has repeated during his trip. After talks with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance in Rome, Zelensky reaffirmed Ukraine's readiness for diplomacy on social media, pushing for an immediate ceasefire. It comes as Russian President Vladimir Putin reiterates his demand that any peace deal with Ukraine should eliminate the war's causes and guarantee Russia's safety. Last week, U.S. President Donald Trump signaled there would be no progress without his involvement.
Nothing's going to happen until Putin and I get together, okay?
But with the U.S. president now touting a phone call with the Russian president, there could be some path to peace. Trump will first speak with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and the leaders of France, Poland, the UK, and Germany.
Wir können nur hoffen, dass es jetzt weitere Fortschritte gibt. Und mein fester Eindruck ist, dass sowohl die Europäer als auch die Amerikaner fest entschlossen sind, zusammen, aber auch jetzt zielorientiert dafür zu sorgen, dass dieser schreckliche Krieg bald aufhört.
Ahead of the call, the U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, says Trump is determined to make progress, a hope shared in Ukraine and across the globe as the 3-year war rages on. James Lin, Rosie Greninger, and Bryn Thomas for TaiwanPlus.
Former U.S. President Joe Biden has been diagnosed with aggressive prostate cancer. His medical team says because the cancer is hormone sensitive, it can likely be managed. Concerns about Biden's age and health followed him throughout his presidency. His son, Beau Biden, died of brain cancer in 2015. China says it will impose anti-dumping tariffs on a type of plastic imported from Taiwan, Japan, the US, and the European Union. The US faces a steep tariff of nearly 75% on palm copolymers, an engineering plastic commonly used in auto parts and medical devices. Taiwan's exports will be hit with a rate of just over 32%. The Chinese Commerce Ministry says an investigation found that the material was being dumped at unfair prices. Taiwan's Economy Ministry says it's working to open new markets beyond China and has already cut its plastic exports there by 25% compared to last year. In Indonesia, ash clouds are spewing 1 kilometer into the air as an active volcano in the country's east continues to erupt. Authorities have raised alerts to their highest level after the volcano Luotobi Laki-Laki erupted 8 times over the weekend. No evacuations have been ordered, but residents are being urged to wear face masks. The volcano has been active for months. In November last year, an eruption killed at least 10 people and forced thousands to evacuate. Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Be sure to visit the TaiwanPlus website and follow our social media. Finally, we take you to Mexico City, where traditional performers are parading through the streets. I'm Jensen. Have a good evening.
Thank you for sharing our passion for food and Taiwan. Veggie Island explores the vibrant world of plant-based cuisine.
Wow, this is amazing.
While Taiwan on the Rocks uncovers the stories and craftsmanship behind every sip.
Have you ever tried Taiwanese beer?
Are you ready to taste even more of Taiwan?